Unity occurs among a group of people. It's seen through compassion and devotion to one another. It's a sense of community and belonging. It's when all members come together and they respect each other, not just certain individuals. I experienced unity in Ghana right when we got there, so immediately. When we got off the plane, we had to hurry and go get our luggage, and we all had to stick together, and there were people up trying to gather it, and it was so funny because we were all just trying to get our luggage and trying to get out of there in one whole piece. So our group really experienced unity right when we got there. There was also lots of unity in the schools. It was very apparent when you walked in. There was so much, the degree of comfort was so high, and the students and teachers all had a sense of pride of one another. And I think walking into that, you really felt one with the schools and the community in which they lived in. On the third day, we went to the SOS school, and we had the ability to walk around and see their classrooms and what the village looked like. And then all of a sudden you see these students running out, and we all just looked, oh my goodness, they're here. And they went to this playground, and I remember one boy told me to come up into this little fort on their playground, and he told me to tell them a story about a magical alligator. And I think at this point I was caught off guard, and I didn't really know what to say, but they helped me, and we all chimed in and had different parts of the stories. And at that point, I really felt unified with them, and we had this experience with this magical alligator that it was just really amazing and fun. One of the most memorable experiences I had in Ghana was when we took the van down the historic route that the enslaved Africans took to the coastal city of Elmina. And I remember Dr. Dillard telling us that we could experience this trek in our own different ways, that we could put our headphones in and just kind of think and look out the window and imagine what these people went through as they walked this. And I remember I did that. I put my headphones in and was thinking and looking out the window and just watching. But I remember looking back at Rebecca, who is my roommate, and we had a moment where we just looked at each other and smiled, and I really felt at one with her, and it was a really good experience. Another very important moment that happened was when we were in Elmina at the slave dungeons, and we were standing in the female slave dungeons, and Dr. Dillard spoke about the graphic events that occurred, and I just remember thinking how horrible it was. But at one point I looked up and everyone was crying. We were all definitely unified and humbled at that moment. On the 9th day, we went to the Montessori school, and right when I stepped off the bus, I felt comfortable and at home. We had a chance to go into the classrooms and talk with the students and teach a little bit. They were so thankful and happy that I was there. They had so many questions for me about where I lived and who my friends were and about my family, the government, just bizarre questions, and it was so cool to answer, and we had a really good time, and I asked them stuff as well. But they actually had lunch when I was there visiting, and I sat down and allowed them to have their lunch, and all of a sudden they all started coming over and saying, "You are invited, you are invited." And at that point I wasn't aware that that statement was so well known in Ghana, but now I do know, and I was very appreciative of that once I learned, and I felt, I don't know, it was just a very gratifying experience to be able to be in the village with them and see everything that went on in the school. Another gratifying experience was when we went to the village of Impiasum, and it was surrounded by so many people. We walked up and they all were just watching us, and we walked in and we actually sat up front and we saw them, so many precious performances, and the kids were so excited to see us. After they performed, we were given a chance to give their goodie bags that we had prepared for them, and they were so thankful, and their smiles were so innocent and happy. And I don't know, I think that at that point I realized how much our presence meant to them, and I was very thankful for that, because it was really nerve-wracking having to walk up and sit in front of them, but they made us feel at home and they made us feel very welcomed, and they were excited for us to be there, and we had a chance to dance with them and run around and just be playful and not have to be so serious, and it was really fun. On the last day we had our banquet, and this is when we had the chance to dress up and get all pretty and do our hair. And it was just for our group, and Mr. Henry, of course, and Dr. Dillard. But we danced and we sang, and in the afternoon we actually created a centerpiece where we all put something in and we're able to talk about it. And I think that was the most powerful unifying experience for us as a group, is because we all had a chance to put this centerpiece together and talk about what each piece meant to us. And it just literally brought all of us together in such a wonderful way, and it was a good way to end our trip. Being able to dance and just have a good time and be there for one another. It was really fun. In our educational classes, we're learning how important community building is to teaching. And after this experience, I think that I'm really starting to see why it is so important. Creating unity and community in a classroom is so important for students, because if they feel comfortable and welcome in the space that they're learning, they're more likely to gain so much more knowledge and succeed academically because of that, because they're more willing to participate, they're more willing to work well with others, they're just going to be more involved. And then a bigger issue is it's going to stop behavioral problems. There's not going to be as much lashing out and fighting and stuff. So I think that building this unity and community in the classroom is so important, and the balance of unity actually sets the stage for learning in a classroom. After going to Ghana and seeing how unified they are in all these different settings, it's made me realize that how important unity is to our classrooms here in America. And I think ways to enhance unity are to, of course, build those relationships through allowing your students to get to know each other in the first 6 weeks or so of class. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be really important to me as a teacher. I just want all my students to feel comfortable in the environment. I want them to succeed academically and emotionally. When students are receiving encouragement from their peers, well, not only the teacher, but also their peers, that's when they're more likely to succeed. And that success is so important to each individual student. There's just so many things that you can do in an educational environment to bring unity to your classrooms. And so Ghana really has taught me how important it is to do that. Unity is key.